Now, to you, sir.
My answer is yes.
You don't even know what I'm going to add.
I know.
What is she? Let her host the show,
I have this,
bro.
little small job, and it's to tee up the question. Are you really going to take that away from me?
All right,
bro.
Then ask.
Now he's telling you what to do, Molly.
Come on, Molly.
Thank you, Dan. Excuse me, Dan. Do you trust your boy? Because I know how loyal you are, like a Tom Brady. Do you trust Stafford in the playoffs? Because there were a few picks, in case you didn't hear me.
I absolutely trust.
First off, how do you know that you trust him in the playoffs?
Why are you doing this?
True story.
Our friendship has gotten so close this year, and now you want to try to make it dissolve on national television.
We know it's not based on past history, but
it's not because we're friends.
Yeah, it's not his fault. He played for the Lions. We get it.
I trust Matthew Stafford in the playoffs. The reasoning is that I think the playoffs are going to come down to basically fourth quarter games, right?
Okay.
We usually anticipate that to be the case. There is not more than 4 or 5 guys in the NFL that I trust more with the ball in their hands in the fourth quarter in a must game-winning drive situation than Matthew Stafford. If that case happens, I'll bet my life savings he's going to get the job done. There's a reason he's got 42 game-winning drives. There's a reason when the Rams defense went and forced that field goal yesterday, I said, game over. I was sitting there with my wife and kids, and I said, game over. He will lead them down on a game-winning drive, and I think you saw that with the throw to Odell on 4th down and then the game winner to Odell in the sprint outs. I get that there was those 2 interceptions. Now, I think there's a couple reasons why those interceptions happened. Number one, stop it.
I didn't even say anything.
Number one, it's hard to go back-to-back West Coast to East Coast games, 10 o'clock starting time.
Yeah.
Unless you've ever done it, it is hard.
You know what? I've had to do a show in L.A. and take a red eye and do a show in New York. It is hard.
It's hard.
But sometimes you got to play hurt.
And the guy went 14 of 14 in the second half. Didn't miss a throw.
So you're just going to say, like, the second half is when he woke up. That would be like the normal time he'd play a game?
Quite literally.
Okay.
Quite literally. Woke up.
Yeah. His body clock was right.
The Chuck Clark interception, I want to give some credit to him. Like, I think it was a good play. You as a defender.
That's my cousin.
He's not your stinking cousin.
He can be.
But I got so many comments. He made a good play. And then I think that the second interception, I think he does force that ball to Odell, 3rd and 10. Maybe I'm going to force it and equal a punt. So, like, I'm not absolving him of those, but I know this. There is not a better quarterback in the NFL this year in the fourth quarter than Matthew Stafford. So, yes, I trust him.
What that was, the Titans, pick 6, they lost. Packers, pick 6, they lost. The Ravens this time, he threw a pick 6. He was trying to lose. 7 interceptions in the last 3 games against defensive stalwarts like the Seahawks. Right? They're excellent on defense. The Vikings, oh, yeah, they're super good, too. And the Ravens, like all of the Ravens, the JV Ravens, too. Not the Ravens that would have, like, Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters and all them. So what I'm saying,
point?
My point is this. When we look at the stretch of the season, he played well against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He played well against the Arizona Cardinals. He was good in the second half against the Ravens. But this is a Ravens team that gave up half a G, right, to Joe Burrow last week in the Cincinnati Bengals. Matthew Stafford is not to be trusted in the playoffs. Now, that doesn't mean that Matthew Stafford doesn't have the talent. He doesn't have the coach and Sean McVay, Sony Michel now running the football, a guy like Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham Jr., Van Jefferson, Tyler Higbee, right? So there is weapons on this team. It doesn't mean that Matthew Stafford can't produce and create some plays in clutch moments. But what it does mean is we haven't seen Matthew Stafford do that in critical playoff moments. We haven't seen Matthew Stafford be great down the stretch of this season. We haven't seen Matthew Stafford necessarily be an upgrade over who Jared Goff was in the Los Angeles Rams run to the Super Bowl. So do I trust Matthew Stafford's talent? Absolutely. Do I believe that he has the skill? Absolutely. Do I trust Matthew Stafford, the player? Does he have enough in his history? Has he shown me enough recently and currently to be trusted in the playoffs that he could just go out and make plays? Absolutely not. But Matthew Stafford can be a liability to this team and has been a liability at spots throughout this season. The only 2 people in the world that will not say it are Sean McVay and Dan Orlovsky. Matthew Stafford himself has admitted to needing to play better, and he needed to be better in the first half yesterday.
Let me just say one thing. I don't need to see it to believe it, right? I have faith, so I'm not going to hold that against him that he doesn't have the playoff experience, but he is tied for the 2nd most interceptions in the league, Dan. How is that not concerning to you?
Well, because I think
it's his friend. Period.
No.
Period. It's his boy.
Because I think there's stretches in the NFL season, there's ebbs and flows. Again, how many of those interceptions have happened in the past 2 weeks? Like, again, people are thinking these are excuses. Christmas weekend, New Year's weekend, travel across the country, 10 o'clock game starts. Those are real things. Did the Rams as an offense play as good as we've seen them over the past 2 weeks to start the football games? No. A couple of those interceptions have been tipped interceptions or jump ball interceptions. Here's my thing. The way, RC, you're talking, you only trust like Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, and Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs.
Not true.
Who else do you trust? Because you're saying we haven't seen it. We've never seen him in this environment.
What I'm saying is we're not seeing him play well right now. Right? You give me Dak Prescott early on in the season still playing the same way.
Do you trust Joe Burrow in the playoffs?
I do, absolutely.
We've never seen Joe Burrow do it in the playoffs.
I've also seen Joe Burrow in critical football moments in the most important weeks of the season, which have been the last two, be excellent.
He was 14.
Be excellent.
That's where I'm thrown off. Did you say earlier that you trust him in the fourth quarter more than any other quarterback in the NFL?
Not any other. I said there's not like 4 or 5 more. Like,
that's what I said. It don't need to be 4 or 5 more. It just needs to be 1 or 2 more.
But
right? And those two can play in the Super Bowl.
But how can you say I don't trust Matthew Stafford because he's not played his best football in critical moments? He went 14 of 14 in the second half when he was down yesterday.
So Matthew Stafford,
say you trust Joe.
So Joe Burrow, right? We've watched Joe Burrow throughout this season. In games that the Cincinnati Bengals have lost, it hasn't been because Joe Burrow didn't play well, right? You lose to the Titans solely because Matthew Stafford throws an interception and then backdoors that with a pick six. That's the reason you lose the game. Against the Green Bay Packers, you lose the game because Matthew Stafford is inaccurate. Matthew Stafford is inconsistent, has the pick six to Rasul Douglas in the second half. Matthew Stafford is part of losing that football game.
That pick six happens because the receiver, though. The receiver, Cooper Kupp, stops running on his route. They talked about it. It's like they don't lose the Green Bay game because Matthews picked six. They lost the Green Bay game because they couldn't stop a nosebleed on defense.
Hey, guys.
You should be a defense attorney.
I'm gonna tell you, you know what Dan is? What? Dan's the best friend in the world.
Seriously.
I say every time I do a show with Dan Orlovsky, I leave thinking to myself, how lucky I am that you like me.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.